Okay, so today we're going to talk about how our views have changed and how things have changed. So do you want to talk about it, or do you want me to talk about it?
It's your YouTube channel.
Okay, well, back in right before our orientation for IVF, I was not ready to completely let go yet. I wasn't there yet. I was working on it. But I wasn't there, and I didn't feel comfortable not going to the orientation. And they called to confirm our orientation for March 26th of this year. And with about a week before, they called to confirm and then told us that we had
the
option of starting
earlier
in July.
Yeah.
Much earlier.
Yeah, because we were going for September.
No.
Weren't we?
We were going for May of next year.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was. And then an opening came up for July, August, and September. Those were like the three options we had.
Of this year.
Yeah.
And of course on the phone,
You just went yes.
I immediately said, yeah, like July, like this year, right now, like in like 4 months or whatever, 4 months, we could be doing it. That's when it kind of changed for me. Just because if we were starting IVF next year, then like Sam would already be 7 by the time we even start IVF. Then he'd be almost 8 by the time we'd have another baby. It just changed things for me a bit. And maybe because I wasn't ready to let go yet, it kind of changed. But then you weren't there yet.
Nope. After several attempts by UI and everything else, and how life was currently going, it just kind of made sense to not anymore. Because like you said, Sam was going to be like 8, going to a much older age, which was one of the biggest things we didn't want, was to have a huge gap difference between the two siblings, because then at that point there is no connection really for them, not until they're older, not until they're adults, or teenager into an adult, because even by then, by the time our youngest would be 10, Sam would be 18. So by the time the other kid's 18, Sam's like 26.
Yeah, like it's a huge gap, and that's something that we have talked about recently, because there still will be that big gap.
Yeah.
It won't be as
drastic,
but it's still going to be there, and it's something that we've been talking about because of it. Anyway, so we had a lot of conversation. We did tell them in the orientation, because they needed to know are you taking July's spot or not? And we only had, I don't even think it was a week. I think they called on like a Thursday, and it was like a Tuesday.
They needed to know as soon as possible.
Yeah, and so they said that they can give us up to 3 days to get back about July, and then we just weren't there. We weren't there yet. We had lots of conversations for what, like a month?
If more.
I think it was about a month, because then I called them back and asked if we could be put on, because they said August and September were still available as well. There were some openings.
Yeah.
Not many, but there still was. And so I called and asked about August. They had said that there was no more August left, and then that we would go into September. I said, okay, we're going to take that. I, at that point, had seen a social worker for myself to try and figure out like how to go about navigating this insane roller coaster of like our chapter of life right now.
Which, I'm gonna be honest, that person kind of a douche. I didn't like.
Why do you think that?
Well, from the conversation, this is from hearsay, but this is from what you told me. They did not really keep in consideration what they had their one opinion from the get-go, from the moment you got in there, and instead of listening and then actually, being therapist, they just like, no, you should do it. Just do it. Why wouldn't you do it? It was kind of like that idea of like poking the bear, be like, do it. Well, that's not the right kind of idea to helping someone who's struggling with the concept. You're not even weighing on both sides, just being like, no, shut up and do it. It's not the right way.
I feel like I think she knew that I wanted to, and maybe she knew that I just needed to hear it. She had many different concepts, but her biggest thing was, are you going to regret not doing it? And if the answer is that you will regret it, that you shouldn't live with regret. And it's really hard to live with regret.
You can just willingly spend $5,000 to $10,000 on a procedure that after the government doesn't pay for, like after we get our one try, they're not going to help us out anymore. So it's easy for someone like that who has that kind of a profession just be like, yeah, no, just 30 grand, mortgage your house, who cares? A child's life is worth it. It's like, no, because then you have to consider that child's I'm just gonna say this. Then it turns to the world of that child's life will now be miserable because you spent $30,000 or whatever. Like as an example, even $10,000 at the bare minimum to get this going, and then you're not gonna have as much money as you did before. You have extra payments you have to do. You have less activities that you can do with that child because it's not money that you have anymore. You never could have because now you have to pay off all these other things and then have a mouth to feed. Which, in those retrospects, yeah, that's the stuff that annoys me is when people say, just go for it. What's the worst that can happen? It's like,
yeah.
Do you swear? You don't swear on your thing.
No, I do.
So get ready to beep. Well, listen up, motherfucker. It's easy for you to say when you have 3 kids or 4 kids. Just have another one. Who cares? You're not the one going through these things. Or even looking at adoptions, because even the adoption process is ridiculously long and expensive.
Yeah.
It's just, there's no winning. And this is the stuff that frustrates me. There's no winning when you're stuck in that situation where you want to have another kid
in the infertility world.
Yeah,
there's no winning.
Yeah, but you have to swallow this hefty amount of money, which we're lucky that in Canada, in Ontario, the government will pay up to a certain amount of it, and we have to pay for our meds.
Yeah,
I know other places that they don't get that option, so it's this struggle of like, can you financially at that point afford to bring in a new life? Because it's not just pump, here's a new kid, you're good to go. It's not like, it's not the old school fashioned way. It's this amazing technology that costs a lot of fucking money.
Yeah. I don't even, like, infertility is such a complicated, complex thing.
It's a minefield.
Yeah, like it's not just one thing. Like, we have Sam to consider, and by doing this
affects Sam.
It will. Like, it will and has and
won't stop to. Like,
financially, like, if this doesn't work, like, we're not doing this again. Like, it's done.
We're not mortgaging $10,000 or getting a line of credit for this, because then we are being irresponsible individuals who are now being selfish because we just want another child. Another child who may not even have a good life because of the choices we made to try to get them in this world.
Yeah, I know, like, even our social worker from the hospital.
That dude was good. I like that dude.
But he said the exact same thing.
Yes.
He said, financially, if you're deciding not to do this for financial reasons, then you'll regret it. Because anything financial, you can make. You can, like, work more. But that doesn't align. Do you remember that?
Yes, I remember that's one of the moments where I smirked at him.
Yeah.
But he still also considered the other aspects of it.
Yeah, he did. But, like, I probably didn't, like...
You didn't clue in on that part? Or
yeah.
those parts you don't remember?
I just kind of... I heard a lot of, like, if it's financial reasons, then...
That's not an excuse.
It's not a good excuse.
Yeah.
And you're going to regret it. And so... But at the same time, like, yes, with the funded IVF, we're spending way less money, which is wonderful.
That's still $5,000 or $4,000.
3 to 4.
Yes.
For my case.
Yes.
Our case. And then $500 on top of that for the freezing.
I'd most $4,500.
Yeah.
And then $500 a year if we were to hold on to it for whatever reason.
But yeah, so I just wanted to give everybody a heads up that we are going through with IVF.
Yep.
It came with a struggle of conversations and, like, what do we do with our life? And, like, it was hard.
There's no such thing as easy answers when it comes to this.
And, like, one person is struggling and the other person might
struggle
not
for
be
something completely different.
Yeah. And might not be in the same spot as the other person.
That's why we have to talk about it.
Yeah, and, like, it was hard.
Yeah.
But yeah. Bye, guys.
This was a downer.
Yeah.